Are we?
That video is a wee bit outdated, folks. We do welcome you into a special presentation on this Tuesday afternoon. And here, folks, on the MI6 Sports Network, I can talk straight. That, of course, folks, is the 2020-2021 MI6 Sports Network, ESPN.com Fantasy Basketball Draft, the live stream coming your way here this afternoon. For right now, folks, joined by a fellow member of the league tonight, our good friend Trevor Williams, and our host on No BS, yours truly, Cal McClure, joining you here tonight, folks. Again, as we had did this, I should say, back earlier this season with the Network Fantasy Football League. We live streamed our draft. We're going to do that again here tonight with a 8-team league this year. But Trevor, we thank you for joining us here at a decent time today for you back there. Back home in Pennsylvania. But how are we doing tonight, man, on this Tuesday evening or afternoon, however you want to call it?
Pretty fantastic. I'm excited. Another fantasy rolls around, and it's just one step closer for me getting an MI6 title. I know in fantasy football, I took care of Isaiah, and now I'm facing the second seed. It looks like I'm projected to win, but obviously no one has made any moves to improve their lineup, so it's more of a wait and see on how things unfold this week. It looks like I have a chance to win, but at the same time, I really do not know. Fingers crossed that I do win and maybe face Ryan in the finals. And if I beat Ryan, I get the first capture of a MI6 fantasy title, and no one can take that away from me.
Yeah, nobody can take that away. And of course, folks, we'll have more of our MI6 host family joining us throughout the course of the stream tonight. Again, we did this for fantasy football, and we thought we'd do it again for fantasy basketball. Now, folks, a little bit about this is we were supposed to have a 10-team league, but because of some issues, or not really issues, but more so just some problems that rose up, though, while we were starting the league, though, we had to actually go from 10 to 8 teams, and we've actually filled it last night. But we actually, though, did make another league, though, over on yahoo.com for other members that wanted to still join the fantasy basketball league. So we'll be drafting that on Saturday, but there will not be a live stream of that draft coming up on Saturday. So we'll see how things do in fact go. But again, it's a 8-team league here today. And we'll be having, again, as mentioned, some of our other hosts join us on the air here tonight as we, in fact, do start this draft in about 6 minutes and 35 seconds. And, Trevor, we had talked about this during the actual NBA draft show, though, of a year, though, of so much uncertainty. And we're talking about the shortest offseason ever done for a North American pro sports league. We're looking at a 70-day, 73-day offseason for the NBA. And now we're drafting on this Tuesday, Trevor, a week away from the start of a condensed 72-game NBA season. Trevor, of course, we know that, obviously we have the draft pulled up here, and we're kind of looking at some of the guys that will probably be picked somewhere either number one overall. Of course, I have the number one pick, but it's not because of bias, but it was just about how guys entered the league, more so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way across the board. And that obviously, LeBron probably is going to go somewhere top 1, top 2, top 3, and Anthony Davis, and that there probably, I think, though, Trevor, still some concern even amongst us fantasy sports owners about how, in fact, will these guys actually play to start the season? Will they actually play in December, in January? Will they take a longer time to come back? Trevor, as you're kind of looking, or you probably have thought about this, what am I going to do with the 4th spot with my pick? What happens with the top 3, with LeBron, or those guys? But more so, Trevor, even though we're playing this more so for fun, we're not playing for cash or for, it's more of like, yeah, it's bragging rights and stuff like that. But even as a fantasy sports owner, and you're not making the, the big buku bucks to actually run an organization, Where's the concern level maybe for you for some of these star players that probably may or may not start the season right away on the floor?
I guess it's basically any teams that played in the semifinal games. You're not going to see a lot of star players to rise up, but at the same time, like trying to draft Kevin Durant in the first round seems like a logical move because he's coming off of injury and he wants to play some basketball. So it's going to be a perfect reason for you, to select Kevin Durant in the first round. But at the same time, you may want to see where LeBron James falls and saying he may not play like the first couple like weeks or even a whole month in the NBA. So it's like if I'm drafting him early, he's probably going to be on the bench a whole lot. And I could probably draft a younger, fresher talent to get me a lot of points early on. And maybe if he's still in the second or even third round, when you get, your pick again, you go scoop up LeBron James. No one picks him up in the first round.
Trev, of course, the draft is also happening, though, on a very big day, though, in the NBA with the rumors of Giannis Antetokounmpo perhaps going to somewhere else from Milwaukee, but he signs a long-term 5-year max deal at about $220 million. And right now, per ESPN, he's ranked as the number one overall player. Kind of that top 5, though, real quick, or at least top 10 per projections for next season includes Giannis, Nikola Jokic of Denver, Luka Doncic with Dallas, James Harden, again, is he going to be in Houston or in somewhere else? Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Stephen Curry round out the top 10. Trevor, are you a bit surprised, though, seeing how these projections are, in fact, looking for the top 10? Because you're looking at maybe Harden, maybe not playing in Houston. Maybe he's going to sit out until he's traded away from Houston. Obviously, Luka's looked great. Giannis, of course, just got paid today. LeBron and AD kind of down in the top 10. Steph Curry, despite missing majority of the year, is back with his injury, is also in the top 10 right now. Any surprises that probably stand out, though, in your mind for the top 10 rankings in the projected stat line for the 2021 season?
I kind of want to say that Stephen Curry is a bit too high from coming back off of injury, but at the same time, he's a guard and he's not really have to play physical. He doesn't have to be a physical guard. He can, go back to his traditional threes and just, make it rain for you in fantasy. It's definitely a good pick, but I think them ranking him 10 is a bit too high in the scenario coming off of a, crazy injury from last year.
So, folks, a quick update or how our league works here. Again, this is an 8-team league, 2 divisions, 4 teams apiece. Should mention, by the way, that we actually did name both divisions in honor of both Kobe and Gianna Bryant, who, of course, we all know sadly lost their lives very tragically back in earlier this year in January. And, of course, they are in, obviously, our thoughts with our league, even for our Yahoo League as well. We'll be, folks, drafting 15 players, the regular NBA max, 1 point guard, 1 shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, 1 center, 1 guard, and a forward as well, plus combos of guards and forwards and centers, and 3 utility spots with 3 bench spots and 3 IR spots in case those do, in fact, come up. Scoring-wise, in case you're curious, any field goal, like any NBA game or basketball game, 1 point for a free throw, 2 for field goals made, and 3 if you make it from beyond the arc, 1 point for rebound. Assist, steals, and blocks, and -1 if you turn the ball over. We have a 2-day review period for any trades, with the trade deadline coming up on April 16th of next year at 9 a.m. Pacific time. No limits on acquisitions, and a 1-day waiver for period, I should say, for waiver claims. And we are using a waivers system for the league. But again, due to some issues, not really issues, but just more so some bad luck, sadly, with some of the guys in the league, that we had to put this down to an 8-team league, which I think, though, Trevor, will make things a bit more interesting, I'd say, though, this being an 8-team league and it being not 10, 12, or 14 plus guys. But, like we said, though, folks, there is another league, though, for majority of the viewers or majority of our hosts as well, if, in fact, things, if they want to get in on the scoop. But again, folks, we'll also have plenty of our fellow network hosts, again, joining us as this does move on. But hopefully, though, Trevor, we don't take too long. I think I put this at 1 minute. Let's get this thing going, get it over with, and get out of here at a decent time. So again, we also, though, folks, thank you for tuning in. If you have any comments or you will have your reactions, again, you can always throw those our way in the live chat box, and we'll go ahead and do our best to read those throughout the course of tonight's draft. But again, folks, it is an 8-team league getting underway in just about 10 seconds here. And we'll see how things do, in fact, go. As again, the draft order, by the way, is me up first, then Steven, Isaiah, Trevor, Martin Garcia, our good buddy Amir Khan is also drafting at 5. And then one of Martin Garcia's friends at 7. And then our resident birthday boy, John Alcorn, will be drafting 8th. And this is, again, folks, and the draft is now officially underway. And I think, Trevor, we'll just get this out of the way real quick. I know, of course, he's probably not going to play, but I will take LeBron James, number 1 overall, and kind of get that one out of the way, right?
Very good, solid pick. I thought you could, try to lurk him in the second round, but I think we were just going to go out and just take him right off the bat if he was available.
And I do think, though, that with it being an 8-team league, not just about and I think you may have said it, though, best, though, is that when the league is kind of compacted, though, stacked rosters across the board here, and a very good move by Steven as he takes Luka Doncic at number 2 overall with Dallas. That's probably the one guy, Trevor, that I have enjoyed watching in his very brief time playing has been Luka, because he's been so dynamic. I think LeBron James had a very great quote about him, though, is that he might be the biggest threat to him, though, in the MVP race as Trevor goes on the clock. And we have Giannis going at number 3 overall in the draft here tonight, again, with it being an 8-team league. Very, very, obviously a very quick thing here. And Anthony Davis going to Isaiah at number 4 overall. So we have LeBron, Luka, Giannis, and Anthony Davis all off the board here today. And great selection there, Trevor, with you taking, of course, AD with James Harden heading out at number 5 overall as well. And now we go to Amir, who, again, by the way, folks, we should also clarify, too, in fact, that someone is not able to make the draft. You'll see that clock run out, and they'll be put on auto pick as the draft does, in fact, move on here today at this time. So we'll see, though, how things do, in fact, move. And hopefully we'll be out of here at a very decent time with, again, this being a very condensed league. But we'll see how things go. And Isaiah writes into the chat box, y'all really let me get Giannis at number 3. Again, Trevor, though, I think that we said, though, that these rosters will be probably inflated, though, because of the number of teams in this league, with it only being an 8-team league.
Well, at the same time, like, Isaiah picking at number 3, like, it's a no-brainer for him to pick up Giannis at 3. Like, if he bypasses him and picks somebody else, like, LaMelo Ball, that's kind of disrespectful to Giannis.
So, again, folks, with Amir being on auto pick now, he selects Nikola Jokic at number 6 overall. And we'll see how things go. And Isaiah is asking if someone did, in fact, draft AD. Yes, Trevor did.
Yep, it's my favorite team, Courtside Heroes.
How'd you come up with that name, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
It was last year because Steven asked me to fill in for someone because, like, he had a bot team and I just fill it in like halfway through the season. And I was like saying, I need a cool, creative fantasy basketball name. I'm like thinking, what could I go with? And I thought of Dwight Howard and Superman. I'm just like, all right, I got heroes right there. And then they're on the basketball court. So it's like coming off the bench. So I had like Courtside Heroes in that sense.
Damian Lillard, by the way, drafted by Martin Garcia's good friend here today, going at number 7. And now the birthday boy, John Alcorn, who still enjoys poking fun at our resident Asian Skip Bayless, our man Isaiah Leung with his team name, though he does have Bikini Bottom listed as his city location. So that's a good one to watch. So again, we'll be having a couple of guys, again, making picks via auto pick. Amir is actually in, though, which is good to see. But as you probably folks know, though, we probably have some tech problems as usual here. So round 1 of 15 officially in the books, into round number 2 as Karl Anthony Towns goes off the board to John Alcorn at number 8 here today, as we now begin round number 2 of the network's first MI6 Fantasy Basketball League here today. Trevor, at this rate, we're going to be having like fantasy sports leagues for like everything at this rate. Whether it's football, basketball, you name it. It's going to be happening like every year now at this rate.
I think we need a show that covers all of our fantasy sports and just raging, be like, why can't I get into the playoff picture? And then they magically expand.
And they magically expand, basically, as Amir. Oh, geez. As Amir is now on the clock again, folks, with Trae Young of the Hawks going and Steph Curry off the board now, heading to Amir's club here today, as Martin Garcia now jumps on the clock here at this rate. Again, folks, round 2 of 15. And thankfully, with most of the guys drafting, which has been great to see, though, that this will probably go fairly, as mentioned, fairly quick here today. But we'll, as also, though, folks have more, hopefully, of the guys join the stream, though, as this time does move on. But for right now, it's Callum McClurg and Trevor Williams along for the ride here today on this program. Again, the MI6 Sports Network's abbreviated 8-team NBA Fantasy Basketball League Draft live on the air here today. For this Tuesday, we are still considering having some programming later in the night with myself and Isaiah. We'll see how things go. And as we wait for things to go. And if you folks are curious, yes, my nickname of my team is named after a former San Diego basketball team. If you don't remember the ABA and the San Diego Conquistadors, Wilt Chamberlain played for us for a bit, and he was also our coach. And they played at San Diego State for a bit. That is exactly where my name came from. As Shareable Steve is now on the clock and ready to select, as we've had Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and of course, Isaiah has to take his man crush, Devin Booker. Trevor, good grief, man.
I thought I was going to accidentally click on Devin Booker. I'd be like, if I did that, Isaiah would be like, I'll trade you into my entire drafts class for him.
At that rate, you're just looking at basically, at the rate that you're looking at basically having Isaiah in your ear. Like, for one, he'd be raging. I know I'm on the clock. He'd be raging, then he'd be like, I'll give you my entire roster for him at this rate, All right, let's see what we got here. I know I'm running out of time. Let's see what we got here.
There's just a lot of good people that are still,
that's what I think is
30.
The NBA as opposed to the NFL. There's so many great players on so many different ball clubs. That's also, I think, the struggle, though, as well, of things going on. I need to make them up.
Make your pick.
I know time is running out. I'm fully aware of that. You know what? I'm going to just take Bradley Beal with that pick and just move on to the next one here. Because I'm sure eventually, though, we're going to have a bunch of trades probably going down as more time does go on today at this rate.
Trying to figure out what I want next. Do I want to start beefing up my bench or just, cruising around and fill up the starting lineup? That's the toughest decision to figure out.
It's weird, though, because I think that sometimes, though, I think it's to fill out your starters first. Then as time goes on, though, it's more about, filling in those utility spots, filling in the bench roles, stuff of that caliber. It's weird. But, this is where things, I think, get a little bit interesting, though, because, like we said, though, there's so many players on the board, though, who are so good and stuff of that rate, as we have Bam Adebayo and plus Pascal Siakam. And now Kyrie Irving off the board here with the selections as we now move into round 3 and move on in round 3 here of tonight's draft. As mentioned, folks, we thank you for joining us here as we enjoy another fantasy sports league here with the network at this rate here tonight. And we will, folks, join you folks hopefully for some programming later tonight to, again, a lot of developing news, as we know, in the pro sports world here today. And for that matter, sports in general on this Tuesday night. Trevor, I see you with Kyrie Irving with your last selection.
Yes, I needed a nice point guard. Like, I have great big men, but I have no long range shooters or getting a lot of assists. So Kyrie's getting the assists for me. So I'm going to need, nice, strong, small forward. And I have my eye on someone, but I don't know if he's going to be there by the time I get that pick.
That's the part that sucks the most, is like you get zoned in on somebody and then it's just like someone has the same idea as you do when they're off the board. All right, so auto picks have been done for John Alcorn, Jimmy Butler, and SGA heading to Alcorn's franchise here today. SGA, I think, Trevor, has got a lot of potential down there in Oklahoma City.
Oh, for sure. It's a young developing team, so there's a lot of potential in that area for them to grow.
Round 4 of 15. At least, though, Trevor, I've kind of said this for a while, though. But at least, though, that this is not like the NBA draft show that we were on, though, where we had me, you, Isaiah, Trevor, or obviously Trevor's in here with me, but, Ryan and the rest of the guys, though, and we're literally sitting here watching the draft and it's just going on and on and on and on.
And then you have shocking trades happening. We don't have that here, sadly. But, one of these days when we do a live in-person draft, we can have some trades and make things really chaotic for everyone.
Oh, believe me, I know a lot of people would love to see that happen.
I just imagine Isaiah throwing his paper like the GIF we have.
Basically. So a couple more selections. Zion Williamson and Donovan Mitchell go off the board as we move into the 28th overall pick, round 4 of 15 of this very condensed 8-team league for the MI6 Sports Network. But this is just one of our 2 leagues here that we have for hoops. And Trevor will select DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
With his selection here in round 4.
Got a great, starting lineup. You just need one more position.
Lineup has taken some good shape for everybody for this rate and at this point in time.
I think I already got the podcast ready. Got the Elite 8 for this, for the ESPN Fantasy group.
More than likely, I would agree.
But, we have to deal with copyright, so I have to come up with something more fancier than that.
Shareable Steve and I have the same idea of going with Jamal Murray. I'm going to go and get a guy kind of under the radar. I'm going to go with Fred VanVleet for my point guard position. And also, that we should also mention, though, as well, that VanVleet was the highest paid undrafted player, I believe, too, that was done over the offseason as well. Let's see.
I know the auto pick is starting to roll in.
And I mean, you can call it what you want, though, folks, but more so for me, though, with that happening, as we all know, though, it's just more so about, more so in my mind, it's all about the, tech issues or stuff like that, basically, in my mind.
I'm surprised that Isaiah, stuck with Pina Colada, though.
Oh, geez. Tell me about it. Yeah, Isaiah changed his name last night to Pina Coladas.
Steven took what I wanted, Chris Middleton.
DeAndre Ayton. Shouldn't surprise anybody that Isaiah has 2 Phoenix Suns on his roster.
I'm going to have to go with Andrew Wiggins on this one.
Wiggins is kind of a weird, he's not weird, but he's just been, passed around by so many franchises. It's like it's hard for him to kind of, in my mind, get himself back to where he once was.
Yeah. And it was like, I felt like he was just so low. I know there's a lot of better shooting guards up top, but like it's just a name that's just well known. I was like saying,
most definitely,
it's definitely a good pick, but at the same time, like I could always put him on the bench and find somebody else or trade him to get something good.
Let's see what Martin does here with the 37th overall pick of the draft.
There's just a lot of guards still lying around, though.
Can we please, enough with the guards? We had enough of that nonsense on draft night. I'm telling you. Draft night was insane. If you folks have not seen our draft day coverage, I recommend you folks go and check it out. It was that spectacular of a night.
I think it's just like when you do a fantasy football draft where everyone starts drafting kickers or defenses at the same time or tight ends. It's like a train effect, and everyone just like says, "Oh, it's kicker time." Everyone drafts a kicker.
Basically. So far we've had Bogdanovich, Chris Middleton, Ayton, Wiggins, and Gobert in round number 5. approach round 6 very shortly of 15.
You have a nice pace for this draft.
Isaiah is saying, don't worry, he's not going a wall, just was stuck in a binder with the bus, heading home now. Can't wait to join the stream very soon. And that we're doing a beautiful job holding down the fort. I'm happy.
I am satisfied.
Domantas Sabonis is off the board.
Guess they had their eye on him too.
To me, though, I think more than anything else, though, Trevor, is that with Sabonis, I think he kind of, sadly, that injury kind of derailed the Pacers' playoff chances last season, sadly.
Yeah.
Nikola Vucevic also off the board
now
as
everyone's
well.
getting all the centers. I should just load up my bench with centers.
If it's not guards, we're loading up on centers.
It's the complete opposite of the NBA draft. Centers, everyone gets a center. You get a center, you get a center. Everyone gets a center. Come on, auto pick. Don't do me dirty.
I know, that's like a giant hurdle you have to jump over is when you have the guys with auto pick going on.
Tyler, my hero, is the thing that's going to screw me over, I feel like.
Martin selected Josef Nurkic from Portland with that selection, it appears. Excuse me, that was his friend that had selected Nurkic. Amir back on the clock. Round 6 of 15. Zach LaVine, De'Aaron Fox, both off.
He's still here, finally. Chris Paul.
Guess they had their eye on him.
Chris Paul going to Trevor's franchise. Gotta love it. I'm going to need a big man here. Who we got? And of course, one of the better big men is Porzingis, and he's still out because of injury.
Yeah, I saw him. I was like, no one has got him this late, and we're like halfway through the draft. But I feel like he's gonna fall like to like the 12th round, maybe.
CJ McCollum is off the board now.
A lot of players are day to day. I'm seeing. I'm like saying, is that a good thing to have?
Out day to day. Just like with any type of injury, basically. Need a shooter right there. I need to get a big man though. Like seriously, I need a damn big man. I agree, Trevor. A lot of these big men, though, man. Jeez.
One of these years, we need to do a fantasy draft where we draft one team. And you just pick a team you just draft and see how what you can do.
Kind of do it like blindly, basically.
Yep. I guess it would be like a couple teams so you can survive a bye week. But
agreed.
I think, for fantasy football, I'll be stuck with the Chargers, and then I get a team that has an opposite bye week. So I can rotate the players through, but it'd be like two teams I'm watching over.
I was against the clock
to
get a center. Yeah, this is where things get very, very interesting, though, as you kind of move later into the rounds here. But I'm sure, though, that there's probably going to be a lot of trades, though, as we have said, though. A lot of trades, though, going down after this, the draft does, in fact, conclude, though.
I think it's going to be a lot of people, like you said, Cal, in trades. But at the same time, these trades are going to be really good, and it's going to be hard to turn down.
I can already just think, though, of, like, all the trades that Isaiah is trying to conjugate in his head right now, to be very honest.
Because like most of these are going to be star players until they start swapping people you never haven't even heard of in like in a while. I'm like, why are you sending me this?
How lopsided is this trade going to be?
Yep.
Shareable Steve going with Kelly Oubre Jr.
They're going to get me Draymond Green.
Isaiah goes with Gordon Hayward, who just got paid down there in Charlotte. Mitchell Robinson auto-picked, I believe, by Martin Garcia, the center for the Knicks. Practically halfway through this draft. Getting close.
Yeah, I know. It's a nice smoothing pace of the draft. 30 minutes streaming, you know? It's
Yep.
not your typical MI6 2-hour special now.
I don't know. There may not be a program that tops the draft night program, though, when we watch the first full round and we're losing our minds. And I mean, that's probably my favorite show, though, on the network is the fantasy or the NBA draft show that we did. Kyle Lowry finally selected by Amir. Round 7.
Yeah. Because I think people end up forgetting, like, oh, I need a guard, and they forget, or I need a big man, and like it just keeps getting pushed back until they fall to like the 7th round.
All right, getting close to the end of the round here. Still now in round 8.
Ooh, I already got
Porzingis finally comes off the board.
I got a perfect logo for the MI6 Fantasy League just for the 8 teams that are here. Got the crazy 8 and have an 8 ball there.
Yes, the magic 8 ball, baby. So John Alcorn selects John Collins and Kristaps Porzingis. TJ Warren also came off the board. So just about halfway through, folks. We thank you for hanging out here. Myself and Trevor Williams along for the evening on the fantasy basketball draft program here tonight. Again, it's an 8-team league, kind of getting ourselves ready for the basketball season, drafting a week before the season begins. Next Tuesday, 2 games on the schedule. John Wall is finally off the board, as is Malcolm Brogdon of the Pacers. Of course, I think, Trevor, John Wall with a lot of question marks around him, and I'm not surprised to see him falling to someone this late in the draft. As Trevor selects Al Horford with Oklahoma City.
Yep. And now I'm going to watch my team fall apart this season and, have that worst projection. I think
you'll be okay, because if anyone proved us wrong, it was Furman Lee, who basically was projected to be like the bottom of our fantasy football league, and he's right now fighting for a semifinal game coming up this week as Isaiah Leung and the Hawaii Pina Coladas are now on the clock here in round 8 of 15.
Is Furman's team like? I think like Joe Burrow or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was called the Joe Bituary is what he called it, I believe.
Yep, I have that, and I'm facing him this week. Can I end his Cinderella story?
I don't know. Is it going to happen? We'll see.
I don't know. I'm destined for greatness, but I don't know. Is it going to be enough? His team is really good, and my team, I'm blaming CeeDee Lamb on this one. You can't give me enough points when I need him the most. And I complained to Steven, like, CeeDee Lamb, you have one job. to
And
get me
you're
touchdowns.
blowing it.
But then there's Amari Cooper who has a fantastic game in my other fantasy league. I'm like, Andy Dalton, I want you to throw it to CeeDee Lamb at least a few times a
Can
game.
you please just do it one time for me?
And then I have like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to say one of their wide receiver,
Oh,
Cole
goodness.
Senior, and he's been having a good like the past 2 weeks. And I feel like the day I start him, he's gonna do awful, and CeeDee Lamb's gonna go off. I'm gonna be really upset about it.
Going to be very upset about it. I went with Danilo Gallinari and Martin Garcia's dude, Tyler Hero.
Hero. I feel like I can't find a guard that I want.
But like we said, though, Trevor, we're kind of to that stage, though, where it's kind of like who's left out there on the, on the board that's not been selected yet for all these positions.
Yeah.
Because basically now it's just filling in utility players and then the bench spots, and we're good for the night.
I don't want the Ball brothers. I don't want that. I'm trying to stay
Trying
away.
to stay as far away from that as possible. I can't say I don't blame you.
And do I want to trust Victor Oladipo? That's another question.
Let's see. Guard-wise, it looks like we got Kobe White, LaMelo, Oladipo,
I'll take
Jaylen
Oladipo.
Brown, Josh Richardson with Dallas.
I'll trust in Victor Oladipo in this one.
Karis LeVert, Malik Beasley, Terry Rozier, Bledsoe, Dinwiddie, Tim Hardaway Jr. A lot of good players are out there. But now it's kind of like, to me now, it kind of becomes garbage time because now you're just filling in utility players and bench players, and it's kind of like, yeah, we're going to be done very soon, so who really cares?
Need that win. And I hope our projections are somewhat reasonable this year. But at the same time, I had a fantasy league where I drafted all great, well-known players, and they projected me to go 0-13. I'm like, yo.
Oh, man.
That was like crushing, but I proved it wrong and won 2 games. So I'm like, hey.
Crush all them projections.
Projections don't mean everything.
Christie says Malik Beasley making headlines these days, but not because of basketball. Very fair analysis. Dennis Schroeder off the board.
I kind of like being pick 4 because I'm in the middle every time. So it's like, I get a nice pick every time. Can't hate.
Jaylen Brown, Hassan Whiteside, next 2 guys off the board here. To Amir and Martin Garcia. Michael Porter Jr. Steal there for Trevor. Nicely done, sir.
Thank you.
Isaiah's probably sharing the same sentiments that we are, Trevor, that there's like no one on the board that he really wants to grab.
Yeah, I'm sort of feeling it, but at the same time, I only really have like maybe 3 centers on my team, but I'm like with only 2, I guess 3 power forwards, I could get another one and then try to trade. But at the same time, I really don't know.
Clint Capella goes to Isaiah, who had to go on to auto pick because of probably the tech issues that we've been talking about all night.
And
Shareable Steve on the clock right now.
And the centers are not doing it for me. Do I?
Decisions as we come down to the nitty gritty of the draft here. Round 10 of 15 coming to a close here very shortly. Lou Williams off the board to Shareable Steve.
Aaron Gordon, no.
I knew that was gonna like get some type of a reaction from Trevor.
I need my Orlando Magic. Colin, why? Why? I
Who
have to
was
settle
left
with
on the board from
Obama.
Orlando anyway? Let's see. Well, Trevor, you need to get one for now. Evan Fournier is still on the board.
Ooh.
Terrence Ross, Markel Fultz, Cole Anthony's out there. I mean, I think he's got some upside, to be very frank. Eric Bledsoe off the board. Mo Bamba also off the board, going to Trevor. What a great name, by the way.
It really is.
What up?
Isaiah, you literally missed half the draft.
Well,
75% of the draft, my friend.
Well, first of all, blame that bus that I was on because it took literally like 20 minutes to come. But then I was drafting on my phone on the bus. And, well, the reason why I was waving that white flag just now was because y'all really let me get Giannis with the number 3 pick, the guy most regarded as the best player on the planet.
Well, you would have gotten LeBron James. So,
well, I would take Giannis because LeBron is going to be resting half the season. And then y'all really let me get John Morant and Devin Booker. I mean, Callan, forget even needing to play the games. Let's just hand me the title right now because, I mean, I'm like the Miami Heat from 2012. Like, this is going to be a cakewalk. I guarantee you, when it's all said and done, I will be at the top of that leaderboard with that trophy. Because, I mean, this team, look at it. It's so stacked.
Callan, change my schedule. I want Isaiah to have the toughest schedule out there. No easy way to the title.
I think it's you and me week 1. I forgot what the schedule actually looks like, though.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm on the clock right now?
Yup.
Colin Sexton.
Kemba Walker's still out. Wow.
Yeah. Like we said, though, a lot of these guys, though, Trevor, with day-to-day or outs next to their name, though.
It's very concerning.
Especially when you're talking about, again, like we mentioned at the top of the show, the shortest offseason in North American sports history. Literally no time for anyone.
What? I got Capella. I picked Gordon. I literally pressed Gordon and it was loading. How the hell did I end up with Capella?
Only Isaiah with technical.
Only Isaiah.
Oh my God. Gordon was like the power forward I needed. I don't need another center. I already got like.
Oh, well, he came to San Diego. It's all that matters.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4 centers.
Hey, you want some trading?
Want some cheese with your wine? All right.
By the way, you guys, I just want to say you guys
finally.
You guys did a great job of holding down the fort while I was gone. Good job, Trevor.
You're welcome.
You did a great job holding down the fort for Callan yesterday, and you did a great job holding down the fort when I was, with bus troubles today.
I know. I need my holiday, vacation package from you, sir, Isaiah.
We
Only
have
3 days off,
$70
sir.
We can make something work out. By the way, who's up right now? Because my draft.
Your time is running out.
And 2 seconds.
And it's out.
There he goes.
Who did I get?
Dang it. You took my guy, but I'll get Blake Griffin as a backup.
Wait, I got DeJounte Murray?
Yes.
How many guards do I have on my team?
Jeez, is this the NBA draft all over again with guards and guards and guards being selected?
Fellas, I have John Morant, Devin Booker, Lonzo Ball, Colin Sexton, and DeJounte Murray, and who else? Dude, I have like 6 guards right now. I have an influx of guards. Anybody want to trade? Hit me up.
That'll be fun when the draft does conclude with all the trades that do in fact go down, like Trevor and I have been saying pretty much all night.
You know that's going to happen.
Oh, of course.
Wait, is this a 4 playoff bracket, or is everyone getting in?
Top 4 make it. Top 4.
Oh man, that makes it harder now.
I mean, do we really need a playoff if you know that your team is just going to cakewalk its way to the title?
Sure.
Let's expand it so we all get a shot at Isaiah for the title.
I have a bad feeling that when does the NBA season conclude? Like April?
I think it's going to be ending in May this year.
How about our fantasy regular season? Is it like playoffs?
It'll end the last week of the NBA season, which I believe is supposed to be in May, like I said.
It's a long season, so you're going to get a lot of good short podcasts.
So that means I have a bad feeling. Like, why do I feel that all the words that I just spewed out about how my team is going to cakewalk its way to the title and how I'm the Miami Heat of 2012, why do I have this bad feeling that when we look back on this in like March or May, that I'm going to be laughed at because my team is either last place. Yeah, I'm in like last place or whatever.
We just need to change your name from Isaiah H. Leung to Isaiah Jinx Leung. Simple as that.
Take. Not a lot of good options here.
I hope I have players. Like, I just have a lot of players that can play more than one position.
Which is all you can really ask for.
Yeah.
You can plug them in and insert them wherever you feel like they're needed.
Let's try Jordan Clarkson. Why not?
Like we said, though, this is the nitty and gritty of how things are going right now.
Oh, we're in the last round. Let me scroll all the way to the bottom and pick the last person.
Mr. Irrelevant. All right.
This is the round where you just BS it pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you're just filling your last two rounds here.
Dude, if you look at my bench, it's all guards.
That shouldn't surprise anybody.
I am worried for Isaiah's team, but just imagine he gets into the playoffs somehow. We're all scratching our heads why.
It's possible. And again, though, when it's top 4, it's a little bit tough to do. And especially when Isaiah, Trevor, me, and Steven are in the same division.
We're in the same division. Oh, man, this is bragging rights. Steven and Isaiah's rivalry is about to get heated yet again.
It's going to be good.
My damn phone just froze. Come on. I have on the clock 20 seconds.
You have 15 seconds.
I know I'm leading Isaiah in our series right now because I played him 3 times in fantasy.
I'm free.
4, 3, 2, 1. He's not going to make it. Joe Ingles. You got Joe Ingles.
I got to get my boy Seth Curry.
I froze literally at my last pick.
Oh my goodness! Only Isaiah would have something like that happen to
Oh
him.
man, I have like 4 shooting guards.
By the way, who did I end up picking? You guys
Joe
know?
What power
Ingles from the
forward?
Utah Jazz.
I need to
Another
make some
guard, like
trades.
6 guards. Jeez.
Okay, the draft is complete.
Show
Way to
my
go, everybody! Great
team.
job.
I wonder what I'm projected.
Well, we will stop the screen share and now visit ESPN.com, and we will go and check out how everything did, in fact, turn out for the draft tonight. Again, we thank you folks for tuning in and for joining us, but we'll go and check out and see how rosters do, in fact, look for everybody at this rate and at this point in time. Let's see what we got here real quick. Let's go check the schedule. By the way, folks, the week 1 matchups, Trevor, it is in fact you and me, Courtside Heroes versus the San Diego Conquistadors. And yes, it is Isaiah versus shareable Stephen Wang.
Classic rivalry.
Then we have Amir versus Martin, and Martin's friend facing John Alcorn in week number 1 of the season. That is how things are, in fact, stacking up at this rate for the opening week of the NBA season. Coming up, literally next Tuesday, with 2 games on the schedule in the National Basketball Association. As things, in fact, go on and how things look at this rate. Going to try, folks, to pull up and see how everyone's teams do, in fact, look right now. So we can put those up on screen and see how everyone's franchises do look. We'll first go and start up shop over with me real quick. Let's see, we got Fred VanVleet, Beal, James, both Bogdanoviches, Bismarck Biyombo. That was one I had to kind of make. It was the time the clock was running out on me, sadly, because of the centers not really being there. Kawhi Leonard, Tyler Hero, Danilo Gallinari, Aaron Gordon, Mike Conley, Duncan Robinson, Melo, Emmanuel Mudiay, and Tim Hardaway Jr. For my squad, let's go and check first with Shareable Steve. He selected Luka Doncic with his first overall pick in the draft today. He's rolling with Luka, Jamal Murray, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum, LaMarcus Aldridge, Devontae Graham, Pascal Siakam, Kelly Oubre Jr., Tobias Harris, Lou Williams, Julius Randle, out Kemba Walker. So there, Trevor and Isaiah is where, in fact, Kemba did go, was to Shareable Steve.
All right.
And then he rounds out his roster with Kobe White, Mason Plumlee, and Spencer Dinwiddie on his side of things. Let's go to Isaiah because he's been talking so much nonsense about how this is a cakewalk for him. Ja Morant, Devin Booker, Gordon Hayward, Giannis, Bam Adebayo, McCollum, Harrell, Lonzo, DeAndre Ayton, Clint Capella, Jeremy Grant, Colin Sexton, Murray, Jordan Clarkson, and Joe Ingles is his roster for the season. We'll go and check up with Trevor's ball club here today with Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, Andrew Wiggins, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Chris Paul, Draymond Green, Victor Oladipo, Al Horford, Michael Porter Jr., Mo Bamba, Derrick Rose, Blake Griffin, Anthony Edwards, and Seth Curry make out his roster. By the way, I must say that I love that logo that Trevor has for his ball club this year. Our good friend Amir is also in the league. He's got Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, Domantas Sabonis, Nikola Jokic, Zach LaVine, Kevin Love, Kyle Lowry, Andre Drummond, John Wall, Buddy Hield, LaMelo, Evan Fournier, Dylan Brooks, and Rui Hachimura from Gonzaga on his roster from the Washington Wizards. Over to our buddy Martin Garcia, our behind-the-scenes website producer. Ben Simmons, James Harden, Brandon Ingram, Christian Wood, Rudy Gobert, Russell Westbrook, Karis LeVert, De'Aaron Fox, Mitchell Robinson, Malcolm Brogdon, Hassan Whiteside, Eric Bledsoe, Markelle Fultz, Obi Toppin, and Otto Porter Jr. for the roster for Martin. For his friend, our good buddy, we're calling him Cleveland Bradshaw. He's got Damian Lillard, DeLon White, Paul George, or DeLon Wright, I should say, Paul George, Zion Williamson, Nurkic, Trae Young, TJ Warren, D'Angelo Russell, Robert Covington, Dennis Schroeder, Josh Richardson, Dante DiVincenzo, also with Marcus Smart, Larry Marketing, and Kendrick Nunn with his roster. And last but not least is John Alcorn, who, again, enjoys roasting Isaiah Leung, Drew Holiday, SGA, Kevin Durant, John Collins, Karl Anthony Towns, Ricky Rubio, Jimmy Butler, Kristaps Porzingis, Nikola Vucevic, Steven Adams, Jonas Valanciunas, Tyrese Halliburton, Jaren Jackson Jr., who right now is out, Brandon Clark and Miles Bridges make his roster. And that, folks, will in fact bring an end to this very brief stream here, about an hour long, though, of our network draft coverage. With that, guys, why not? Let's have some final thoughts on this draft program. With that in mind, Trevor, nice going to have a draft go by so quickly. Again, 8-team league, 15 rounds, but pretty much done in about an hour time. Trev, any final thoughts on the draft and how it went? And, of course, the season a week away as of today.
I think I got to get a nice rival team in this division. I know me and Isaiah were heated in fantasy this year, and I know I'm leading the series. But at the same time, I think Isaiah is going to try to get my number in fantasy basketball. So we're brewing up a nice little rivalry, but it will never top Steven and Isaiah. But maybe.
Look at that, folks. He's already waving the white flag on the fantasy basketball season. Who would have thunk it?
But maybe me and Callan can start a nice little rivalry between our two ball clubs. So we got to have a nice rivalry between two teams and make the series spicy. So come on, Callan. Let's make this a nice come back from behind win, and you shock me in week 1.
You know, with Steven and Isaiah having this very long history of rivalries before I've known these guys with either actual playing one-on-one basketball or fantasy, Trevor, I think we're going to have a rivalry between like very laid back because that's just how we both are. Where Steven and Isaiah, it's a screaming match every time on the host chat. Isaiah, I know that, of course, you missed out on the entire program, man, but any final thoughts on the draft and how things gone? What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, before I get into my final thoughts, I got to give a shout out to one of our newest fans, Brandon Rosas, who watched the program on the SoCal Sports Facebook group. He came up with an amazing comment. I'm going to try to pull it up for you guys. You guys see it down below in the bottom. I don't know if you guys can see it because it's kind of bright. It's right. Can you guys see it? Yeah.
Since when did British intelligence start a sports network? Laughing out loud. I'm glad someone got the reference at least, though.
Yes, that I've been waiting for that. We haven't seen like someone comment that since the network started. But so shout out to you, Brandon. Golden comment. But it's been a great show. You know, sorry that I had to miss the first like 30 minutes of it. You can thank AC Transit for that. Hopefully they make their buses on time next time. But, you know, it was a great show, great draft tonight. You know, also want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank Allie and Christy for tuning in to tonight's program and watching our draft. And, you know, it's going to be a fun season in fantasy basketball. I am so confident in my team because I know that with you guys letting me get Giannis and Devin Booker in the second round and John Morant in the 4th round and Colin Sexton, who I believe will have a breakout year in the 14th round. I mean, I'll say this. The league has done wrong. The league done wrong, baby. I think I have like the most stacked team out of this entire league. And listen, the only big surprise will be me not raising that championship trophy at the end of the year, but I think it's most likely going to happen. It's going to be a cakewalk. I can't wait to celebrate my second fantasy championship.
Isaiah, remember, you're in a division, though, with me and Trevor and your biggest rival, shareable Stephen Wang. I would lay off the horses because as soon as you lose 2 games, it's going to be over for you anyway. So I'd lay off the antics for a bit.
We need a division realignment. That's what we need.
No, we're not realigning anything. You're not even in charge of the league. It's me, Steve, and Martin who came to that agreement. So don't even think about it. And we're not changing the playoff format either. If you're not in the top 4, you're not making it, buddy.
He's trying to move conferences, Callan. He's packing up and leaving.
It's already set in stone.
No double elimination?
No, we're not doing double elimination either. It's win or survive in advance, buddy. Simple as that. With that, folks, we will keep you posted, though, about perhaps potential programming later tonight on this Tuesday with the night shift, perhaps. We'll see what happens. But, of course, we thank you for joining us for this very brief hour of the MI6 Sports Network's Fantasy Basketball Draft. With that, folks, for Trevor Williams and for Isaiah Lee Young and for yours truly, Cal McClure, we'll, again, folks, keep you posted about a program tonight. We actually, I think, have to have one because we have one final first-round matchup for the 31 days of Hot Takes Bracket Challenge. So we'll see you, folks, later tonight around 10 or 10:30 for a very brief night shift to at least get that out there. And also, again, with some of the big news, again, as we've already talked about, though, but Giannis signing in Milwaukee for a 5-year extension. Also, as well, the college football playoffs now up in the air. Happens straight, though, too, with a potential chance of there being flip-flopping going on between the 4 and 5 seeds. We'll see folks back here later tonight for more sports coverage here, folks, on the MI6 Sports Network. Folks, we'll leave you, though, with this parting shot of Trevor in that awesome Captain Kirk hat. Till next time, folks, have a good one.